this is such a complicated process. I mean, there's formula upon formula on the spreadsheet, converting it all to report. It's all very complicated, basically. How do I present this in a way that clients and everyone else can understand? And that's where I came up with, okay, fine, let's put it into a model. So in the model, it's basically, I wish I could get a picture up. It's basically the part of I'm reviewing, so gender, ethnicity, disability, neurodiversity, you name it. And then it branches out into the 4 different domains. And then I was thinking, okay, well, what can I call it? Because it was very complicated. Now it's simple, so simplified. And then I can't say simplified Tolu Wellspring because that's too long. So I took the Tolu out and I put Wellspring. And obviously it's about inclusion. So I just said simplified Wellspring inclusion. And it's a model, so model. Then I realized that, oh my gosh, that stands for swim. And we're currently in harsh currents right now. We're in troubled waters. Why don't I market it as the swim model? Swim in the sense that you can swim through the harsh currents, you can swim past these harsh waters and territories and actually survive. And that's kind of where the swim, I don't know if you can see it there. So you've got the 4 domains are there to depict kind of how our thought process is and how your thought process should be as a business when it comes to swim. Another thing I use the swim for is also looking at organizations that failed. So when I'm doing the Inclusion Effect podcast, for example, I used it on the Arcadia group and we were looking at all those 4 domains. I don't know if I can name drop, you can cut that out. And kind of looking at, how did they fail in recruitment and onboarding? Was their team, were their interviewer panels diverse? What are people saying about their interview experience? Sometimes I just go on the website and literally go through the application process for a job and see what it's like for a woman or for someone from a minority ethnic background. And I can kind of score that particular item in the whole domain from there. Currently, I'm working on a white paper for construction. And it's been really handy because I've realised that in construction, they focus a lot on the 4th domain of the model, which is advocacy and external initiatives. So yeah, they're happy to join women in STEM groups and they're happy to do posters and their website is amazing. I can't fault it. But then when I go into the nitty gritty, are they measuring ethnicity pay gap? Are their interview panels diverse? If they're hiring a woman, are they putting women on the interview panel and things like that? And that's kind of, it just helps me to deal with it strategically. Because when it comes to wellbeing and inclusion, it's very easy to make it sound like wishy-washy hoo-ha, basically, like to make it just sound like it's not important or it's not strategic, but it very much is. And that's kind of, the summary of the simplified Wellspring Inclusion Model.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I think it's really important to see, as you mentioned, like I guess where it came from and its growth, but also its implementation, because I think, as you mentioned, the biggest thing that people say, like, I guess since 2020, is like there's a lot of these policies or like the work to support whether it's specifically Black women, Black men, Black people as a whole, whether it's to sort of work on, as you mentioned, like diversity, equity and inclusion as a whole, whether those are programs, policies, whatever. There's been a lot of like reversion on that. So I think it's really interesting to see, I guess, like to see with this model that, as you mentioned, that you're helping organizations like know clearly, like this is actually where, because I feel like it is very easy to sort of like not be aware of the gaps that you're sort of that you've got in your organization.
Yeah, because you know what you're looking for. It's like a uni, for example. If the uni is saying that, we feel that Black talent doesn't feel included. Okay, let's go all the way to recruitment and onboarding. What schools are you targeting? Are you targeting inner city schools that are private, or are you actually going out of your way to find schools in East London, South London, the poorest parts of London, and then you're complaining? Fine. Let's say you've been able to recruit them. What about the interview process? Are they being interviewed by a panel of white men? Or are you being intentional about making sure that the interview panel makes them feel included by having people that at least look like them? Like if you're interviewing a young girl, she doesn't want to be interviewed by a panel of men.